good afternoon. This is Roxy B. Rocker, and today I have some lovely ladies that I cannot wait to introduce. And we're going to have a delightful women's conversation on self love and self worth today. Welcome to the show, ladies. Allegra is here and Martha. Martha has a show on Prospera Network, and Allegra is one of our new show hosts. Welcome. So
Thank
glad you're
you.
here. We're all Prospera show hosts. What a lovely, lovely day we're going to have. I'm so glad you both are here. Allegra, since you're a new Prospera host, will you introduce yourself to our audience?
Certainly, my name is Allegra Havana, and I am an entrepreneur. And I'm so glad that you asked me on this show because self-love and self-care has been my passion for the last several years. And I cannot wait to have more discussions with you. As you mentioned, I'm also a show host. My show is on Prospera, brand new. I have one episode out. It's called Unmuted. So we talk about kind of the hard things, the things that we don't normally talk about during everyday life. So I'm so excited to get that going. And thank you so much, Roxy, for having me on here today. I'm very grateful.
It's my honor. Martha,
Yes.
please welcome to the show and share everything about you that you would like to share right now.
So I'm Martha, and I have a show on Prospera as well called Let Glory Shine, and it's a faith-based show talking about how we overcome from trauma and use our testimony to create and serve from that place of healing. So I'm also a trauma-informed coach, and I facilitate trauma healing events. And so I'm all about the healing, the self-love, because everything starts with self.
So, ladies, and I'm learning somatic work, and so and what's been very fascinating to me about me doing my somatic work is how things are coming up, how things that I thought have healed maybe have not healed, and how I can handle that anxiety. I was very anxious earlier today, and how I can handle that anxiety and go forth with that. Martha and Allegra, my first question for you is explain and share your values around your own self love and self worth.
Okay, so for me, self-worth and self-care is something that I have created to be a non-negotiable in my life. After several traumatic experiences that I have experienced throughout my life, and someone that lives with CPTSD, it's something that is part of me continuing my life. That's how I look at it. It's totally non-negotiable. If I'm not okay, I can't be okay. I can't show up for others around me, and I certainly can't show up in life, period, because dysregulation is real, and part of my self-care and self-love is getting myself re-regulated because as someone that suffers from CPTSD, it is something that I came into the awareness of about 10 years ago. And I hate to use the word normal because I really don't know that there is such a thing as normal. I think that's always subjective, but I always thought that I was quote unquote normal until I started to realize that the reason that I acted the way that I was and that sometimes my responses are the way that they are was I had no clue why until I started to learn about myself and I started to learn about regulating my nervous system and regulating my thoughts. And once I came into that awareness, self care and self love became something that, as you said, Roxy, it's not just like a one time deal that like on Valentine's Day I'm spoiling myself. I'll give you an example. Today I woke up, I didn't feel well, and part of what I did was I took care of myself. I got myself some herbal medicine. I rested a while. So what I have learned about self-care and self-love is the way that I look at it is I look at it like if I am my own brand new baby that I'm taking care of, and whatever I need is what I'm going to give myself. So if I'm hungry, movement has been huge for me in my
Mhm.
self-care and self-love. That's how I re-regulate myself. And sometimes when I feel a little off, I can always find re-regulation through motion. And for CPTSD, movement is huge. It's one of the hugest healing tools that I have found to be the most effective. So for me, a lot of my self-care and self-love revolves around diet, rest, and exercise. Because if one of those is off, it throws off your whole system. Like if I have a day that I'm eating a bunch of sugar, carbs, and I'm not really watching what I'm eating, and on top of that, I haven't rested, and I haven't moved, then I really have like a wreck of a person to deal with. And having to deal with that is not fun for me and it's not fun for others around me. So
Mhm.
I have found that self-care and self-love is totally something that I will not negotiate on as far as it being part of my life.
Mhm.
When I go on trips, I have a ton of stuff that I pack. I pack my blankets. I think about comfort. And I think about my needs on trips whenever I travel, and sometimes that's hard because I end up having like two or three different suitcases, but all of that is part of what I do to take care of myself so that I can show up as a better individual than what I was yesterday. And for me, it's a constant journey. I still get triggered, I still slip up, I still have my moments, but the journey is one that I am committed to continuing. And it's something that for me, that's like one of my core objectives is to take care of myself and self-care.
So I basically ditto everything you just said because you hit and highlighted most of the reasons why self-care and self-love is important to me. The only thing I can add is I've had to make it intentional. So it's intentional and it's non-negotiable. The intentionality part has been really important to me because so often when we are mothers, when we are business owners, all of those things seem to prioritize themselves ahead of us. And so even though we're the owners, we're the mothers, right? Like things just happen that take us away from ourselves. And so the intentionality piece of no, I cannot be a mother, a good mother, or a good business owner, or a good sister, or any of the other a good community leader if I'm not taking care of self. And so the intentionality part was basically to say I have to prioritize me because everybody else gets from the saucer, not from the cup. My cup has to overflow and I have to give from the saucer, the overflow versus from the cup because I have to give myself the full cup first. So, other than that, I ditto everything Allegra says. It has become an intentional non negotiable for me. And the way I show up for myself aids me in helping me to show up for other people, whether that's my community, whether that's my clients, whether that's my group, my family, my friends. So everything stems from how I take care of me first.
I think you guys are so beautiful and so on point. And, my nervous system was so dysregulated this morning. Just too much on my plate. Schedules were not getting it into alignment. There was a snowstorm and I didn't want to be stuck at the office. So I had to take a breather. I called a friend, she probably had five different wisdoms for me, but she couldn't even get a word in edgewise because I wasn't regulated yet. And here's the thing. I know how I need to regulate. And, I have a biomat. I use my own modalities that I can do self treatments. And, one, and the intentional, oh my gosh, Martha, like loving it, high fiving and hugging you on that. And then, we're a rebirth baby every single day, you
Yeah.
know, dealing with our projects, our businesses, which are our infants and our toddlers and and then having to take care of ourselves so we're regulated so we can take care of the clients. There's a lot that goes into making sure that we are intentional when we're working on the people, we're working with the people. And I pride myself on my intentionality of that. And it sounds like all of us do. And I think that that is absolutely wonderful. What are some tips for the audience today that might be really good for self-care? Martha.
I sure. I love that question. And there's a like Allegra hit on this a little earlier. There's this false idea that, getting a massage and, going
Hmm.
to get a pedicure and like those are self-care. But for me, self-care is having a cup of hot tea when I don't feel good. Self-care is getting to bed at a reasonable time, even though I would rather be spending time with my fiance. Self-care is eating healthy, nutritious, natural foods because that's what helps my system regulate well, right? Boundaries is self-care for me with people, places, and things, right? Understanding what my boundaries are and who I allow into my bubble and the energy that I allow into my bubble. That's self-care. So the things that we think about the self-care being this like you have to get a massage, which is great. Massages are great. Don't get me wrong. Roxy, you're a
Wonderful.
therapist. I'm a therapist. Like,
Right.
like those are great, but there's so many other things that are so that people forget about that add up to that self-care and self-love. Like I
Hmm.
have to do the basic necessities of taking care of self and that equates love, right? Eating well, sleeping well, going to the gym, exercising, going for walks, yoga, whatever it is, breathing, 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 breathing. As all of
Hmm.
us, I have PTSD as well, complex PTSD. And same thing, breathing is a free tool to
Right.
all, but a lot of
Right.
us don't know how to use it to
We don't know how to
benefit
breathe.
our regulation,
Right.
right? And so breathing has been a huge modality for me of taking me out of that trauma brain or that complex PTSD, like swirling, whirling brain is what I call it, and bringing me back into self and bringing me back into present. That is
Mhm.
a technique that I use all the time, and that's huge self love for me because when I'm a better person and I am able to love on myself better. When I'm out of fight or flight, when I'm out of when I'm out of the sympathetic nervous
Mhm.
system and into the
Yeah.
parasympathetic. So, yeah.
Before we go to Allegra, I want to invite and introduce Sierra to our platform. Yay, Sierra, I'm glad you got here. And will you say hello, introduce yourself, and then will you also talk about what self-love and self-worth means to you?
So thank you, Roxy. My name is Sierra Wilson. I'm a natural health practitioner. I run a natural health nonprofit in Minot, North Dakota. It's interesting. Recent events in life make me think about, what self-love means, and then as an extension, what self-care looks like. As Martha just said, there are so many things that we can do tangibly to take care of ourselves. And where I'm actually in a space right now of contemplating is why we take care of ourselves. Like when we realize our own value and we truly love ourselves the same way that we extend love to other people,
Yep.
we will naturally do things to take care of ourselves better because we feel like we're worthy of it. And so I'm actually reframing this in real time as we're navigating some family things right now. And looking at, the what and the hows of the self-care, but why we do it. And so I feel like self-love is truly valuing yourself for you, not for what
Mhm.
you do in this world, not how you show up for other people, not
Mhm.
any role you play, but just intrinsically you have value because you exist. And God wouldn't have put you here if he did not value you. And then as an extension of that, there's so many ways that we can take care of ourselves, our emotional self, our physical self, our spiritual self. And we'll probably talk about that in this conversation further,
Mhm.
but I hope that answers your question.
It did in a most beautiful, most profound way. And I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much.
Allegra, talk about your tips for self-love, self-worth.
So for me, I'd like to just also agree with everything that Martha said. I absolutely resonate with that. I feel along the same path with that. And I'd just like to add a few things. For me, it was a switch from taking care of everybody outside of me. I was a single mom,
Mhm.
my whole life. So I raised my daughter with the help of my parents. My daughter's 27 years old right now. So when she left, it was kind of like a huge shock to my nervous system because now all of a sudden I had to ask myself, well, who am I? I'm not, I'm still a mom, but my
Mhm.
focus was so concentrated on everything around me, on finding a partner, on being everything to my partner, on being everything to my business, on being everything to my family. And the way that I dealt with my trauma is I was the strong one. I was the one that showed no tears, no symptoms, but I was breaking down inside and coming to that realization of self and that I am worthy of taking care of myself. And I'm more than a mom. I'm more than a business owner. I'm more than an employee. I'm more than a partner. I'm this radiant, rare, cosmic miracle that was put on this earth for a purpose. And when I realized that, I was like, wow, this is huge. So for me, taking the focus from being external and taking care of everybody to now all of a sudden taking care of myself. And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't take very good care of myself when I was younger. That was not my priority. My priority was surviving, it was
Mhm.
making money, it was paying my rent, paying my electricity, paying my bills, making sure my daughter was clothed and fed and well. The other thing that I like to add is anyone out there that's interested in getting, more info on self-care, what I did, I stopped watching television like 10 years ago, so I don't have TV. I have YouTube and I watch TV all day whenever I'm available. Like I have it playing in the background and I watch videos on self-care, self-worth, and self-love. And I've been doing that. So everything that I watch has a purpose. And sometimes that's boring for people because I can't keep up with the latest shows. The only way that I know what's going on in the world is through Facebook. But I try to stay out of stuff that kind of dim my light, that made me upset.
Yes.
A lot of the TV shows I feel are just programming. And when I realized that they program us a certain way, and I cut that out of my life, at one point I kind of felt left out. But in another point, it was so empowering because now I'm intentional, as Martha stated, with what I watch and what I consume. So I have like three or four favorite YouTube channels that I watch that are on specifically that. And I've made it a purpose to not really watch anything that disturbs my spirit, that disturbs my soul, that disturbs my being, because that's a huge part of self care and self love for me as well. So, really getting rid of that outside noise and also, as Martha was stating, I'm still in the phase of like navigating, is this a boundary or is this me being antisocial? So at the same time, I'm still in the process of learning a lot about myself. And I think that's something that will never end because we're always changing and we're always growing. So I look forward to the journey now that I'm in touch with that part of who I am and discovering who I am more and more every day. Not who I thought I was, not who I thought they wanted me to be, but who I truly am inside my heart and soul. So, great question. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's interesting to me because I think the people pleasing, the I had ways to take care of myself, but when I got sick after COVID, and then I hit my face after COVID, which also hit my head, and then woke up this weird motivational space in me that like gave me more empowerment that I never even understood before. And I'm still trying to work through like how did that happen? But when I hit my head, this new trigger of like, well, I'm gonna try it anyway, and it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna speak my mind and I'm gonna move in my own way and I'm gonna just allow life to happen more freely without the worry and the stress. Now, the stress will still come in, but I don't allow it to affect me in the ways that it used to. And so, what used to be my self care might have been the haircut, getting my hair washed. And now it's the giving myself a hug, it's the relaxation. And one of the biggest blessings, and I bet Sierra, and you too, Martha, with being in treatment rooms, is that I'm so fortunate that I get to go into a treatment room, listen to music, close my eyes, and support another human being's body. And I feel like that's the most beautiful privilege God has ever given me. And, on days that I might not have been well enough or I might not have been okay enough, I'm delighted that there's a space for me to go into that all of a sudden, oh, now I feel like I'm a little bit better and I'm a little bit lighter. And that stress that I had earlier didn't really matter. Um, and so I feel very privileged that I get to have that blessing. I also feel very privileged that I get to make my own rules now and be okay that those own rules mean taking care of myself and giving myself that permission.
I really just want to agree with what you said about giving yourself permission
Yeah.
because myself personally, I dealt with a lot of guilt with taking care of myself because I was so used to the opposite.
Yes.
I mean, I literally, this is probably going to be gross, but I would go to work even when I was throwing up in a bag on the way to work. That's how ridiculous I
Right.
would be. And I'd be miserable the whole day. And
Right.
it's like, I don't even see myself doing that anymore. The guilt, the shame of taking care of
Mhm.
myself has been that was such a heavy burden. And to remove that, to give myself permission, as in the words that you used, has been a life changer. It's okay. Like this morning, it's okay to rest a little because you don't feel well. It's okay to get a cup of hot
Mhm.
tea because
Yeah.
you don't feel well. So for me, permission, self-permission was huge in a game as far as a game changer goes. So I just wanted to
21. I know,
yeah.
21, I had to spend the half of that year in illness and sickness and barely working. I don't even know how I survived or my bills got paid. I don't remember. I have no idea what I was doing or how I was surviving, but somehow I'm still here and I was survived. And it was from the grace of God. But that year taught me, and that couple of years of healing taught me on how to self-love myself and give myself permission. It was so important. Sierra, we're talking about some lovely tips and ways that we could we some lovely self-care, self-love tips that we can give the audience.
I think one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is fuel your body appropriately.
Hmm.
And it's that thing. They're like, oh, she's one of those health people. She's gonna tell me to eat my green vegetables. She's gonna tell me to drink my water. She's gonna tell me to move my body. And it's not a you should do this. I don't want to shit all over you. Who am I to tell you what you should do? I
Right.
just know from my own experience, one of the biggest gifts I ever gave myself was to fuel my body appropriately and not put extra garbage in it or on it
Mhm.
or do garbage with it that was going to actually harm me, create more harm. And so a lot of people
Yes.
see it as restriction, like, oh, I can't eat this and I can't eat this. Now that I'm so many years into this journey, even like walking through the bakery section at the grocery store and smelling the sugar gives me this horrible feeling in my body because I know how I would feel if I put it in my body. I literally get like this visceral response of like, there's no way. Like, there's nothing in me would be like, yes, I want to go buy that, that cake. It just doesn't feel worth it. And so I think one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves when we're taking care of ourselves is putting the good things in, keeping the bad things out, because so many of our problems and issues and
Hmm.
illnesses and even mental health illnesses could be heavily impacted if we gave our body real fuel and stopped pouring sugar in the gas tank and expecting our car to run appropriately and then getting mad at it when it
Mhm.
doesn't. And we can
Right.
do all the other things to the car, but if we keep putting sugar in the gas tank, we're probably going to keep getting that result. So I tell people like one of the best gifts you can give to yourself is eat real food. And it sounds so cliche, but it's so
Mhm.
true in my experience and the experience of the people that I serve. I see a shift in them when they start fueling their body appropriately, everything about them changes.
I I feel like this is such a beautiful conversation. I want to thank you ladies so much. Like you guys are just ridiculously wonderful today. You probably always are ridiculously wonderful, but just to be in the essence of all three of you is just a treasure. So I really want to thank you all for being here. So my show is about embracing what's possible with Roxy. And I think possibilities are in alignment with self love and self worth. Can we talk to the listeners about sharing what can we do to understand the possibility? Life is hard. Life is difficult. Not everybody knows how to get to this place of I love myself, I care about myself. What's a great suggestion on what's possible for someone?
So this is a lesson that I have had to learn the hard way more than once. I hope not to repeat it because it was really painful the last time I went through it, but what I learned is that don't wait for somebody's permission, validation, or opinion to do what sets your soul on fire, right? Because people are always going to talk you out of your own success, right?
Mhm.
Because they're putting on their yuck, they're putting on their opinion, right? And
Mhm.
what I've really learned is no, I am perfect and wonderfully made in the image of God. And if I believe that God loves me as much as I know He does, then I have to walk that out. And so I have to only be concerned about my own opinion, my own validation, my own concern, my own and not the outside because I'm the only one that can truly talk myself out of self-care, self-love, and
Right.
self-protection. Any of those things is I'm the only one that really has control over that. And so I've had to limit the outside voices because everyone's going to have an opinion about everything. And so
Right.
I find that
Everything.
the more that I really pour into me and pour into that space of, no, I know who I am. I know who God says I am and operate from that space instead of asking
Mhm.
for validation or permission from other people. I just find that I am a more peaceful, joy filled individual. And so, but that's also hard because I have a lot of friends. I have a humongous family, right? Like, and there's always people that want to snuff you out and
Mhm.
not even consciously, right? They think
Right,
they're
of
doing
course.
me a favor by thinking outside the box. And I'm like, you don't understand. I have no box. I don't live in a box. So you can't think outside of the box for me because I don't live in said box. So.
I always say that I'm gonna stomp that box, dance on the box, color the box. I'm going to make that box into the most coolest box I've ever seen because you're not gonna box me in because I am who I am. And I've been this way since I was a child. You're never gonna put me in the box. And I think all four of us are that. So that's exciting. Allegra, share a little bit about what's possible.
So I absolutely agree with Martha. Once you stop seeking validation from outside, like myself, I'm a very colorful person. I'm very loud. My style's loud. The way that I express myself is loud. And I always try to kind of muffle that in order to just be to not rock the boat, to not say things that would upset people, to not, say things that would make people kind of, what the heck? And at this point, I'm stepping into it more and more, my own power of this is who I am, showing up authentically as I am with my red hair, my crazy outfits, my dance, whatever it is that I do. And Really just leave those outside judgments, the outside judgments of you're too old for that. Why are you wearing that? That's too this, that's too that. I love fashion and I love art. I'm a very creative person and I love to dance, and that's how I express the depths of my soul. That's my creative outlet. I'm very creative, and for years I kept that kind of muffled, kind of quiet. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to be weird to people. And sometimes you just have to accept that you are who you are instead of trying to hide that. When you show that, your people really start to show up, and I'm seeing that more and more. And the comfort that you feel of being around the people that just naturally accept your soul for what it is and appreciate the flair that you have, appreciate the just the spirit and the soul that lives within you has been so powerful for me. Really surrounding myself with people that the right communities, such as this community right here, of people that are just supportive and loving and forgiving and kind. And that's something that's new for me because I haven't, my family is very much like that, but as far as peers go, I haven't really had that. So this is a new era for me, and it's absolutely amazing because when you surround yourself with the right people, the possibilities are freaking endless, and I can't wait to see what's ahead for all of us.
Sierra, do you have anything to say on possibilities?
It's hard to follow up what both of those ladies
Mhm.
just said. I agree. I think there's so many places in our life that we're put in boxes. I see it, obviously, I'm in the health world of when people get a diagnosis and then they go over the prognosis, the odds, and immediately how people shut down if they believe the words, even if they're very intelligent words that someone gave you, even if it is a very informed decision. I've seen people completely shut down and die because they're like, well, that was what I was told was going to happen. And then I've seen other people who are like, you're not going to put that on me. And they survive some things that they never medically should have been able to survive. And it blows my mind because it's in the power of belief. If you believe that you're going to be really sick or you're going to live a limited life in any area of life or all areas of life, if you're going to die, if like somebody gave you that, it's like, and then you believe it and you say it in your head, you're speaking a curse over yourself. And there's so much power in what we believe. I've seen again so many people, they have a similar diagnosis, a similar prognosis, and one literally rolls over and dies, and the other one is like, I'm going to get up and figure out how to live. Like this is not how I'm going out. And so when it comes to possibility, I just there's, as the other ladies have said, like people are going to have opinions. And Roxy, if I may, I'm not a swearer, but if you're okay with it, I tell people opinions are kind of like assholes. Everyone has one, and most of them stink. So, like, you don't have to subscribe to what everyone else says or thinks about you. They are entitled, I guess, in their human experience to have those opinions and to hold the thoughts that they do. But you get to decide whether you're going to absorb what they say to you, or if you're going to try to rack your brain about what do they think about you. Just, I think we all get to decide, and what we choose to do with our own thoughts every single day is going to very, very much determine the course of our lives. Roxy's a perfect example of this. When you get told you have a disability, I call it like an altering ability, because most of the people I know are quote unquote disabled are like rock stars in another area of life. So I'm like, they may have had a limitation here. That might be true. And also, they have a superpower here that most people don't have because they've never lived in that person's body or with their perspective. And so I love conversations like this because Roxy's, like I said, a perfect example of she could just be like, well, this is what I was told. And so, like, I'm going to live a pretty limited life and I'm not going to be able to do a lot of things. And she's like, heck no, I'm going to do the best I can with the hand that I was dealt. And I'm going to play this hand and I'm going to hit the freaking jackpot.
And I love the slots. So I mean, literally I'm on the verge of tears, but I'm trying not to cry. And I thank you so much for that. And like, this is a segue question that I'm going to rapid fire at all of you. The last 3 weeks have been like cuckoo around boundaries, me trying to like say, hi, everybody. I don't do services. I'm a media company. I have media platforms like my TV show and my magazine. I also have a fashion line. I'm not your agency where you can get like help to go and get a house or a place to live. I don't know why you think I do that for a living, but I do not. So I'm working so diligently on boundary, and within my disability, it's confusing people. There's misunderstandings. I'm also a reporter. I own a media company. So I'm allowed to report. I'm allowed to do things. It's part of my scope of practice. But again, you hear the word disability and people think, oh, she's got an agency and she does something for us. And I'm like, no, I have a media company and I educate and report on things. That's what I do. In the world of disability or the world of labeling, we're told we're not supposed to be able to have that. I'm supposed to be getting a disability check, which I've never been allowed to get. I'm supposed to be living in poverty. I'm supposed to be not being able to pay my bills, and other people are supposed to be taking care of me. And of course, somebody else has done all of this for me because mom, dad, best friend, cousin probably did it for me, and I don't have the capability of doing it myself. But I love myself so much now that I'm like, oh, hell yes. You know what? No, I did it on my own. No, I worked hard to get here. This is my work. This is mine. I own it. I appreciate it. And so I value everything that you ladies are saying. So rapid fire questions. If you have a disability or know people that have a disability.
I would use the words and also a lot. I think maybe Martha taught me that at some point.
Mm,
This might be true, and also this
yeah.
can be true too. I have two
Mhm.
people in my immediate family who have disabilities, one an intellectual disability and one a physical disability, and they do not conform to any of the things that their disability says that they should and shouldn't be able to do. They kind of have the watch me attitude. Oh, you want to bet? Let me prove you
Mhm.
wrong. Not that we have to prove
Beautiful.
ourselves to anyone, but it's working for them. And they're, yeah, refuse to be limited. And so I think that's where I leave it. You get to choose. You get to choose if you're going to be limited or limitless. And that's a choice you get to make.
I have a perfect, very quick story
Mhm.
about this. I'm 47 years old, but
Mhm.
until I was 43, because I have a disability, it's called
Mhm.
dyslexia,
Mhm.
and I'm also ADHD. So when you put those
Mhm.
two in the box, like I had help all through high school,
Mhm.
middle school, college, like taking exams and reading and writing because I had this disability. But for like 10 years, God had been putting it on my heart. You're going to write a book. You're going to write a book. And I was like, no, God, I'm dyslexic. No, God, I'm dyslexic. And so finally at 43, when I sat in Nashville
Mhm.
at the Unleash You convention, and I was like, I'm going to write a book and I have to write it. And then I sit down and write it in 23 days. And then I'm
Mhm.
like all the things that I had held myself back with because I was dyslexic and I was it,
Mhm.
right? And God was like, but you are so much more than those disabilities. You're so much more than the labels, right? And I've
Right.
been getting rid of labels religiously for years, but I was holding so tightly to this disability. And no more. No mo.
I named my company Embracing Disability on purpose because a hug knows no disability. And you know what? We're not limited. That disability is the medical documentation on some label. But that embrace of it is because we have power.
I absolutely agree with both Martha as well as Sierra when it comes to that. I think that I personally don't have a disability, but I have CPTSD, and it's like a mindset. It's all about belief. When you believe that certain things, when you believe the labels that people put on you that they want to label you as, like in my instance, psycho, crazy, whatever it is that I've been called, At one point in my life, I allowed those to imprint on who I thought I was. But when I have actually come to the realization that those are labels, those are separate from me,
Yeah.
and the limits that I have are only the limits that I impose upon myself. So I believe that belief. I think it's good to acknowledge that. I believe it's good to acknowledge what we have issues with as far as like disabilities go, maybe mental conditions, but I don't believe that we should allow it to take power over us, take control over us, and
Mhm.
limit us. Definitely not. So I'm in total agreement with everyone.
You guys are amazeballs. I love you all so much. Um, so we're going to be wrapping things up. And so the last and final question that I have before we wrap up the show, and again, my heart is like flipping in like jumping jacks and cartwheels that I don't know how to do. And I'm in such gratitude to all of you. I want each and every one of us to share something to the women who don't believe that they can love themselves or they're lovable. And I think because we're empowered women and we have worked really hard on ourselves to get to where we are, I want us to give love to the women in the world who are struggling and don't know how to love themselves because of whatever their journey is on. And I think us women have some guidance for them, and I'd love to hear it. And then we're going to close down the show. And again, thank you for being here.
Sure. So I just want to tell the women out there that they are worthy because they exist. And I know that in this society, we're conditioned and programmed to believe that a woman should be X, Y, and Z. But a woman can be really what you want to be. It can be exactly what you want it to be. You don't have to subscribe to the labels that other people try to put on you or the boxes that they try to stuff you into. And if you're out there listening today and you hate yourself, I just want you to know that you are loved because you exist, because God loves all of us simply because we exist. And I send you love from my heart as well.
I'm going to actually speak directly to the Christian women because I
I
am
love
a
that.
Christian woman, and
Yep.
I see a lot of Christian women in my office, and there is a stigma in the church, the capital C church, that women are supposed to take care of everyone else. But then
Mhm.
we're also told you can't pour from an empty cup. But then also there's an extreme expectation on the women to be able to do it all and be it all for everyone else.
Mhm.
And for those of us who are Christian, we believe, in the Trinity, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. And what I think a lot of people maybe forget is the Holy Spirit lives in you. Like the power that rose Jesus
Mhm.
from the grave lives in you. You are part of God, God is part of you. And so when we deny ourselves, when we don't think we're lovable, when we don't think we're worthy, it's like, would you say that to God? I don't think you would.
Mhm.
And he's part of you. So
Right.
try standing in the mirror and like looking at yourself, or even looking at a picture of you as a little girl and telling her all the terrible things that you think about yourself. You can't do it. You wouldn't be able to say it to God's face. You wouldn't be able to say it to your own inner child's face, but we say it to ourselves as adults. And so when you find yourself saying all the things you suck at or all the ways you've failed, I would like for you to either think of yourself as a little girl and try saying it to that little girl and reframe that and just show her love, maybe the love she didn't have when she needed it most. Or if you're a Christian, try saying that to Jesus's face, because I think
Beautiful.
you
Thank you.
would reframe it and choose love, choose to express love.
You guys are amazing. Martha, and then we're going to wrap up the show because I think we all have to take care of other things in our lives today because that's self-love. Martha, take it away.
Literally, my message is exactly what Sierra just showed or shared. We are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and God loved us first, and therefore we have a responsibility to love the creation that He made, or we are basically slapping God's face and saying, "You didn't do it good enough. Better luck next time." So I don't have anything else to add, but thank you for this platform, Roxy. This has been so much fun.
Um, these ladies are amazing. And I mean, my heart is filled. and it's overfilled. And I'm so glad that we have God here with us. It was felt like a prayer to me that we were living in a prayer together in God's love. And that to me felt, that's why my heart is overflowing. To the women out there, I have this platform for you, and the men out there, to the men's panel is launching this Saturday. Um, please watch it because the men had a lot of really cool things to say. You know, this platform is about endless possibilities, that we are unlimited, and we are unlimited in God's glory. And we can't be denying that God did made us to not be okay, not be normal, that even in the disability label, we have capabilities, abilities, remarkability that comes from us being in the image of God. And literally, we can walk that, and we just prove that we walk that together. And this was beautiful. And so you're not alone in this journey on embracing possibility. You need help, you need support. There's ways to reach out, there's support here for you. And one digestible step, one digestible prayer, find your community, find your people, reach out to someone, and shine your light, and don't let it get snuffed out, because you are so important and valuable. And that's why Embracing What's Possible with Roxy exists. These ladies are amazing. I love them all. I am so grateful that they were all here. And thank you for your time again. And tune in next time. We're going to be talking with parents soon who have children who have disabilities. And we're going to be talking about the services they need and how remarkable they are, because they're going to become remarkable adults. And I can't wait to be talking to those parents to find out what they've been doing to make their lives extraordinary. Join us soon and enjoy our panels and our discussions. Thank you. Again, I'm Roxy B. Rocker with Embracing What's Possible, and I'm so glad you're here.
I'm embracing what's possible, heart open wide, where fear used to whisper, now love is my guide. I'm not just surviving, I'm setting the pace, wearing my story with shimmering grace. From shadows to spotlight, I rise and I sing, embracing what's possible changes everything. This is your prosperity.